The old town of Hollow Creek was a place of shadows and secrets. Twisted trees lined its empty streets, their branches clawing at the sky. Fog clung to everything, muffling all sound save for the distant cry of an owl. Folks whispered of a curse trapping souls within the decaying walls of its grandest mansion. This mansion atop the highest hill drew 4 friends into Hollow Creek's mystery. Sam, the bold leader, Emily, the cautious voice of reason, Ben, the jokester, and Maya, the quiet observer. They stood at the mansion's overgrown lawn, its facade crumbling and grey. The iron gates, rusted and choked with vines, creaked open with a mournful groan. But the friends, emboldened by curiosity, stepped into the town's haunted history.
Are you sure about this?
Don't worry, Em. It's just an old house.
Sam, ever the adventurer, grinned and pushed open the heavy oak door. But even his voice lacked its usual confidence. The air inside was heavy and still, thick with the scent of dust and decay. Cobwebs, spun thick as shrouds, hung from every corner.
Yeah, an old house full of ghosts and goblins.
Ben, attempting bravado, chuckled nervously. His attempt at humor fell flat, echoing strangely in the oppressive silence. Maya, trailing at the back of the group, ran a hand along the cold, damp wall. Beneath her fingertips, she felt strange symbols etched into the plaster. They were cold, almost icy, and sent a shiver down her spine.
Guys, look at this.
The friends gathered around Maya, their flashlights illuminating the intricate carvings. They were unlike anything they had ever seen before, spirals and strange angular shapes that seemed to writhe and shift in the flickering light. There was an unsettling energy emanating from them, a palpable sense of something ancient and powerful.
What do you think they mean?
Ben asked, his voice barely a whisper. He, who had been so eager to laugh off their fear, now seemed to shrink back from the wall, as if afraid it might reach out and grab him. As if in answer, a gust of wind slammed a door shut somewhere deep within the house. The sound echoed through the empty halls, sharp and sudden, making the friends jump. Emily clutched Sam's arm, her eyes wide with fear.
Maybe we should go.
She whispered, her voice tight with apprehension. But Sam, his curiosity now piqued, shook his head.
Not yet. I want to see what's at the end of this hallway.
The hallway was long and dark, the floorboards groaning ominously beneath their feet. Portraits lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the friends' every move. They reached the end of the hallway where a massive oak door stood, its surface intricately carved with unsettling symbols. The door was locked, bolted, and chained, as if whatever lay beyond needed to be kept contained.
What do you think is behind there? Ryan murmured, his hand hovering over the cold metal of the doorknob.
I don't know, Sarah whispered back, her voice tight with fear.
A flicker of movement at the far end of the hallway caught Emily's eye. She whirled around, her heart pounding in her chest. There, at the end of the hall, stood a tall, ornate mirror. It hadn't been there before, she could have sworn. As she stared, figures began to materialize in its depths, shimmering forms that seemed to be both present and absent. "Guys, look!" she exclaimed, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and fascination.
The others turned to see the ghostly figures in the mirror. They were translucent, their features blurred and indistinct, but there was no mistaking the expressions of sorrow and anger etched upon their ethereal faces. Their eyes, hollow and filled with an ancient pain, seemed to lock onto the friends, holding them captive in their spectral gaze. "Who are they?" David whispered, his voice barely a breath.
Terror, cold and sharp, pierced through the friends' hearts. The figures in the mirror began to move, their forms solidifying, their eyes burning with an unnatural light. They were trapped, caught between the living world and whatever lay beyond the veil. Panic surged through them. They turned to flee, to escape the haunted confines of the mansion, but the hallways seemed to stretch endlessly before them. The air grew thick and heavy, making it difficult to breathe. The temperature plummeted, chilling them to the bone. The house was alive, and it was no longer content to simply watch them. They stumbled and fell, their cries for help swallowed by the oppressive silence of the house. The last thing they saw before the darkness consumed them were the ghostly figures emerging from the mirror, their forms now solid, their expressions triumphant. The spirits of Hollow Creek were free, and they had claimed 4 new souls to join them in their eternal prison.